Good morning, traders, and welcome back to another episode of Market in the Morning. I'm your host, Kevin Dubrisky, and with me, we have a very special guest. We have Tony Fox Trades. It's going to be a great episode for you guys. We're going to cover some fundamentals. We've got a lot of news to cover after Trump apparently was talking to the Iranian leaders. Could possibly be seeing a de-escalation, but right now we want to see if that actually has some footing and some ground to stand on. We know that Trump has been seeing a lot of taco trades and has been pulling out of a lot of headlines that he sends out. So guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because Market in the Morning starts right now. Guys, welcome special guest Tony. Tony, man, how are you?
Hi, Kevin. A pleasure to be here, man. A pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine. It's so great to have you here. So you want to give us some insight, a little background about yourself?
Yeah, well, I've been trading markets for the last 6 years consistently. I've been more like my own capital trader, not using so much prop firms. Now I'm getting, this last years, I've been getting into them and getting the juice out of it, as we talked about. And I really like a lot of macroeconomic insights. You know, I really study a lot, like the fundamentals that actually drive the price. So yeah, happy to be here, happy to help with anything, and let's just check what the market's telling us.
Awesome, bro. Let's do it. I'm going to pull your screen up now and let's get right into it.
Perfect. Well, here we have what should we start with? What do you have, like, what you want to start with?
Bro, let's get right into gold.
Let's get right into gold. Okay, that's a good question here. As we were talking about, I think an interesting question to know about gold is what's happening right now. We normally see, you know, gold going to the upside when we have these geopolitical tensions. Right now, we can see for the last days it's been on a bearish momentum. So we really, what I really like is to understand what's happening with these moves, what is driving them. And I think a real interesting thing, we can get to it, back to it maybe later. It's real interest rates. They're going higher. We normally know when real interest rates go higher, that's a bearish for gold, because cash, you know, tends to go more to real interest rates rather than holding gold. Also, we can notice that gold has been in a huge rally for the last year. You know, most investors, the main source of liquidity right now for most of them is their gains on gold. I think with all this geopolitical tensions, we can see always gold going higher in the long term. But right now, I think there's other implications like oil, energy, growth with some dollar and some dollar movements. So yeah, I think right now I've been trading gold for a long time. I've been a long-term buyer. Right now, I would like to see the tensions really calm down a little bit. If I would rather like going back on gold buys, but I think there should be room enough from here to a few months for gold to get back higher. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you on that. I think gold is not done yet. I feel like 5,000 is a great place for it to be at. This big dip to 4,300, 4,400. I don't think the dip is done either. I feel like we're going to see maybe below 4,000, you know, get that psychological scare going where people start panic selling it.
Yeah, that's when the real momentum gets like really aligned in the markets, because when everybody wants to buy, it's not the perfect time to buy
Nope.
because everybody's doing it. So
Yo.
you need like to wait some time to see what the market's telling you, what the interest rate expectations are going to be. Is growth going to actually have a problem in the US? Is that going to be good for the US with energy? We can see Europe as the one that's most damaged by oil, because they're one of the biggest importer of energy. So that would be if I would see more escalation in this, or this getting even worse. I think euro is a really important thing to look on. Also, euro stock 50 maybe. I've been shorting that for a few weeks now. You can see the charts going a bit down. Because energy is really being a damage in Europe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. You want to cover that a little
Yeah,
bit with market?
yeah. Let's see. I'll show. I don't know if I have euro 50 euro stock 50. Yeah, there we got it.
And guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate Tony for joining. If you guys run the like button up, we'll definitely have him on more often.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Everybody appreciate all the support, man. Let's
Absolutely.
see. It's around.
I
I
don't know if
think
you got
it's.
enough tickers in that watch list up there,
Yeah, yeah,
Tony.
yeah. I got a few of them. I got a few of them. I need the real edge in the market, so we need market edge for that.
There we
That's for
go. That's what
sure.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's see what's this. Well, if we can see market actually is aligning with my bias, we have like a swing trading bearish and a day trading slightly bearish. I
Yep.
would like to look at this pullback area also, 500, 5,700. It'd be a good zone for me. Even maybe if the de-escalation is a bit higher, maybe we could see it even going a bit higher than the 500, 5,700. I'll be looking for like all this whole area of resistance just to make another short on this. Having like a good risk management, I think that's the most important thing. I always tell my traders, if you know how to cut your losses like really early, and let your wins and your movements go for long, that's a really good thing in the market. You don't have always to be right. You don't always have to get the exact point. I think it's more like having a vision, and understanding what markets are doing, and just getting a bit of that edge to in the long term get the profit. So yeah, we were
Absolutely.
seeing this. We can see the stock is bearish actually, because the Eurozone PMAs were they missed forecast. Also, we have the stalling euro economy with the war. We have the rate cuts priced in, because the weakness about the dovish policy response is really borrowing costs. So also we have the oil supply crisis I was talking about. I think Europe is a real import of energy, and if we have more upside in the energy cost, that's going to be a damage for the euro for sure.
Yeah.
Also, the dollar would get like relief with that, because if oil is higher, you need dollars to buy oil. No, everybody needs oil. Every country needs oil. As soon as they say no, I don't want anymore, and that's not going to be the question. Everybody demands oil, and they have to buy it, and
Yep.
through that source they need to get dollars to buy it, because oil's even higher now. So I think that could be, if we persist and go with this war, I could be that I could sense that could be a damage for the euro. But I think the dollar could get a great move on the upside if we keep pushing here in this oil prices. Also with Venezuela oil now in Trump's hands, I think
Right.
it's a cool
That's
move.
that's a great point. Dollar moving higher, they do have to buy their oil back. Dollar price moving higher, oil prices moving higher. This is all also just adding to inflation, right? And that's exactly why
Yeah,
we were seeing, like you mentioned, with the rate cuts, we went from factoring in possibly 2 to 3 rate cuts for the US in the beginning of the year to now
yeah.
factoring in a 10% chance of a rate hike in April.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big repricing in the markets. Yeah, I can show you this here. I had it like here ready for you. This is a 3 month SOFR futures. This is actually telling you what's the interest rate expectation of market. What is telling you the market is going to think what's going to do. So here we got. We could see this would be like zero rate cuts, okay, like zero rate cuts. As soon as you go one lower, 99 would be 1% interest rate. 99 would be 2%. 98 would be 2% interest rate. We can see where we're going to cut rates like for the whole year we've been in, and now since the geopolitical tension started and the war started, we can see, in the started of the year, we can see that we're going to more rate hikes than rate cuts. That's
Yep.
a big repricing in markets because, well, we can know that whatever changes they do in the monetary policy, that's not going to be an impact like for today's market, but it will be in maybe 12 months.
Yeah.
Big thing here is that if they actually the war goes down and the markets are still pricing this cuts, that could be a really like uh, heavy change on the what market insights are seeing. So I think we could get actually market is telling us we're not going to get any more rate cuts. I think we'll get a maybe a rate hike by the end of the year. We need to see how markets move, what they're expecting, but yeah, that could be one of the movements for me.
Absolutely. I want to pull up real quick the Fed Watch tool. This is also, guys, something to give you guys a little bit of insight. A free tool you can use to check on the odds of a rate cut for the FOMC meetings. So what I like to do is I come to the Fed Watch tool and I click compare, because what compare is going to do is it's going to give us some insight into how things have been developing. So at some point, about 1 month ago, we were looking at a 16% chance of a rate cut by April. Now we're looking at a 0% chance for a rate cut in April and looking at an 8% chance of a rate hike by April. Not only have odds decreased for the cut, but they've completely flipped on their head, say we're going to hike rates now. And Tony, I don't know if you remember, but last year when we were cutting rates, we were expecting rates to be cut. Markets were flying, so much
Yeah.
optimism. Now here we are shaking markets up. We're crushing it. Does that optimism get crushed like we're seeing gold sell off? We're seeing the S&P and NASDAQ. We are 4 weeks into lower lows and lower highs.
Yeah, that's the challenge for central banks right now is I think it's timing because the monetary policy works. Like I told you, it's around 12 months. So any decision they made today will impact the economy much later. And if what policy makers are being cautious, it's because of the uncertainty around how long the geopolitical conflict will be in. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what really is watching between the short-term pricing and long-term outcomes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Tony, we got a question in the comments. The comments are a little lagged right now, so it's not showing up on our Restream platform. I do have it on a separate tab. Tony, share some insights on how you find your edge, and if someone is struggling to find their edge, what advice would you give them?
Okay, I think a really, really important thing is to know about macro, macro economy, and understanding what actually drives the prices, not actually why when you can buy or sell, actually understanding why are you buying, why are you selling. I think, of course, market edge is a really, really good edge here because we have lots of news. We can start if you're going from a zero knowledge, you can start getting more ideas on what actually news get on the markets, what's impacting every equity or every dollar move, whatever you're watching. I think it's really, really cool. And also I'll say I think we talked before risk management. I think it's a really good thing. People tend to hop in the market, and pass an evaluation or a profit. People actually try to do that without knowing they have an edge to do it. I think that's a shame because it's really a difficult path to make it. First, you got to understand, you got to study your edge, you got to study your trading plan, how you're going to trade, what you're going to do, and then once you have that and you have it really well structured, then you can go into markets and start risking little amount of money because that's the main
Yeah.
thing to from the stock market. You need to have your money and risk as little as possible because that's the way you can get improving. Yeah.
That
And well, market edge is going to help you a lot with the news and the high impact news. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love what you said there, how you have to know why you're buying or selling. We're not just buying and selling because it looks like we're moving higher. We got to know what's behind it, right? And market gives us that insight to say you're buying because A, B, and C, or you're selling because this is going on.
Maybe
But
that's it.
yeah, but also great what you're saying too with your job as a trader, as a newer trader, guys, when you're getting started, isn't to make money. A lot of people get into trading to make money. Your job is to define your risk and have proper risk management. If right now you're in a phase where you get an evaluation account and you blow it in 2 days, then obviously your goal isn't to get funded. Your short-term goal is to be able to hold that account for more than a week. right? Give yourself goals that are achievable, that are within reach. If you're having trouble blowing accounts, your goal is to manage your risk, not to get funded yet.
That's it. That's actually, I always say that keeping money in the markets, it's a good result. You know, if you started the year with 1,000 or $10,000 and you end the year with the exact same amount of money, you're doing it right. You haven't
Yeah,
lost money in the market, you know, and people always, right now, with all this prop firm things, people think like an 8% or 10% in a month, that's something normal. I mean, big banks struggle to have, you know, a 5% in a year. We cannot be so elusive that we can think we can do a 10% in a month. I think
yeah,
by risking little and doing things right, you can obviously achieve it, but you need to have a really good discipline and know how difficult that is to do in a constant manner.
yep, absolutely. You mind if we
Yes,
cover
man.
some NASDAQ now? I got some
Sure.
comments in the chat. Beautiful, guys. So NQ is back pushing lower in the futures market. NASDAQ tests 24,300 as Iran missile launches offset weak PMI and de-escalation hope. So I mentioned in the little pre-introduction of today's stream, guys, that sure, Trump came out yesterday saying that he told the Department of War to stop attacking Iran and their energy facilities. But is Iran really listening? Were they really having conversations? And here they are yet again sending missiles and attacking. Tony, what are you thinking? Are we seeing a de-escalation or was it all just talk?
I mean, this is a difficult question. What we're seeing here, I think, I don't know if you remember, this is like when China started with the tariff things, you know, the talker trade with Bengal talking about.
Yep.
China was exactly in the same point when Trump said they were he talked with China, there was going to be so much tariffs, and they agreed. And then 2 weeks later, the agreement was actually made. But when he actually said he had the agreement with China, was not at all. So I think we
Yeah.
can see more of a taco trade here. We have to see actually how's the escalating going, but we can see actually that he's not talked. There's been a few sources, a few news that Iran has not confirmed that there's this de-escalation that he's talking about. So I think that's actually interesting to see how the markets price the option that this is not a real thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yesterday, right off the bat, from that news, we had I want to say 3% move over
Yeah,
800 points on the NASDAQ. That is wild. But here we are
that's
right now in the middle of that move, sort of aiming towards the downside. And again, because of that whole taco aspect, right? The whole Trump always chickens out. It's not a political thing. It's not a left or right thing. It's a geopolitical understanding the headlines and just understanding the repetitiveness because as day traders, we're here to spectate and see how markets react to the headlines. Even if I don't believe the headline, it's funny. I was going over yesterday. I was bullish yesterday for the intraday to take some longs, and it was great. A couple scalps were okay. But people asked, well, I thought you didn't believe that it was ending. It doesn't matter what we believe. It matters how the markets react to the headlines.
that's it. That's actually, I think maybe Nasdaq. I mean, we saw this 3% upside, and actually the
Yeah.
Nasdaq was 2% on the day when that happened. So that actually reveals you like such a big move on the day. I
Yeah.
think we can actually go a bit higher. Also, gamma levels and things are pointing us to maybe go a bit higher. But for
Okay.
sure, the market is putting their positions more for a downside, maybe because nobody knows what's actually going to happen, but everybody wants to be protected to the downside rather to the upside.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's one of the things too.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got to fix my market there for a second. Perfect.
Yeah,
Why? Okay, let's see. Let's take a quick run through our economic calendar. Make sure we're not missing anything today, guys. It is
yeah,
Tuesday, the 24th. I don't believe we have anything major US wise until Thursday. We have initial jobless claims, which is a weekly event. So that's nothing major unless it comes out above or below its minimum and maximum range. Friday, we do have Michigan sentiment final, which gives us a little bit of a reaction. Next week, I do believe next week we do have, let's see, next week is the first week of the month, so we'll take a look.
yeah.
First week of April. Tony, while this loads, talk to me about some economic calendar events. What are your favorite events to trade? How do you like to utilize market?
I actually don't trade exactly like the news right in the moment. I just trade like a certain like leverage of a few news going on. I like to get like historical data and see what prices or what market is pricing. So I really think well PPI as we saw in the United States was going higher. We could actually maybe have a clue of that because energy is a real thing on PPI,
Yeah.
so we could see also PMI going even further than forecast. But I actually like a lot of the Gen new the Japanese Gen news because I think it's a really a good thing in the market because we all know all the big debt in the markets are coming from that Gen. So I really like to see how Gen is going, how they're doing with the private equity, if they're gonna, there's a lot of things with the Gen going on. We don't have nothing certain right now, but I think in the future, Gen in the future, from my perspective, could go even higher.
Awesome, cool. I got a little
Yeah.
question in the chat here about gold. So earlier I did mention how I believe gold isn't done yet on this downside move. I'd like to see a little bit of a move lower. Um, they're asking why. So gold pressured by surging yields despite Iran escalation. A lot of people were confused. Gold's a safe haven. Why are we selling off when we have all these geopolitical tensions? But guys, it's not as clear as that. It's not geopolitical tensions rise, buy gold. It's that easy. If investing was that easy, it wouldn't be here, right? That would be free money. Markets don't like free money.
No,
Um,
no, no.
so downside pressure is expected. Fed rate cut odds collapsing is also helping increase the bearish odds of gold. We saw that gold was moving higher off the optimism of rate cuts. Well, here we are going against it, right? And what we've also been seeing is a very strong dollar. When we have a strong dollar, gold is going to be USD, I should say, gold's going to react very poorly, very weak, and sell off, right? So those are the few things I was looking at. Tony, what are you seeing on gold? How are you breaking it down? What's your perspective on it?
I would like to see gold, yeah, a bit lower than we have it right now. Let me put my trading view here one moment.
Sure.
I would see it going a bit lower than we are actually right now, but I'll show you. One second, sorry.
No, we're
I'll
good.
show you. Let's put everything. Let's put Cabell.com. Maybe.
Got a lot of thank yous in the chat. Guys, drop some W's for Tony being here today. Absolutely killer episode. Appreciate him being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody, all my community, everybody that's in here, I really appreciate it, man. Really
Yes,
appreciate it
sir.
for everybody. Yeah, so I mean, we could see, well, the day right now, the daily candle right now is going bearish. I think we have like a big liquidity and a lot of orders right down here. We can see gold having this type of mecha going like a real down, but I think this could be actually going into this type of prices. And actually, something I use is my Fibonacci level. I have my own Fibonacci. I'll show you in a time. It's
Yeah.
just to get some like retracement zones. So I just throw the zones and what's my impulse right here? My impulse right here is from this to this, and it shows me a really good opportunity buying right out under here. So because that's the like a 61.8 price drop since the full movement. So that'll be a really good price for me to buy. But I want to see this candle going back then into those prices. And a daily frame, something I like, maybe some of the viewers will like, is this power of three. I think this is a cool thing to have. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Let me show you. Uh, so what this actually does, it shows us. Let me put this in white so you can see it well. Sorry. So what this actually does, it shows you like the daily candle in each time frame you're in. So we can see this from a point of in like a lower time frame. We can see where the price opened, what was the
Cool.
high of the price, what was the low, and you can actually see like in 15 minutes what's the daily candle doing. This here on the right is going to always tell you the daily candle. So this for me, in my perspective, to to maybe do some scalps or be looking at the market daily, it's a good thing to know because this actually it shows you the bigger time frame, what's the movement going on. And I really like this too. If I would like to buy maybe gold, maybe one of my trades maybe could be on the lower prices it made,
Yeah.
like this, and maybe just having like a bit of room enough for not for me to have room enough to have a good risk reward, and maybe we could do something like this. I could see perfectly gold going to a 400 4,700 maybe we can go downside again, but I think this could be a possibility in the markets right now. So I like to see actually how the markets react to the lowest point of the day,
Yep.
and that could be a good trade for me if it actually gets a rejection. So yeah, I
Awesome.
like
That's awesome,
some
guys.
kind of that.
So guys, Tony's trading the range, right? We're supposed to be range traders and we're supposed to be trend traders. We are not supposed to
Yes,
go against the trend and we're not supposed to buy the highs of a range, right? So that's
that's
exactly how we should be doing it, right? If we're looking for longs, we want to buy the low of the range. We sweep a internal low like we have here on that 15-minute time frame, find some support. We're not looking for a massive move to the upside. We're just looking for it to manipulate and then what is it? The AMD, right? Accumulation,
the
manipulation, distribution.
distortion.
So
Yeah,
we'll see if
that's
we, yeah, looks good.
yeah, that's something as a mark. Yeah, yeah, I like it. So what's your view on gold? How are you looking at it? Have you got any positions in yet, or?
It's funny. When I was looking at gold, just the sheer momentum we've had to the downside, volume wise too, has really been picking up. We see down here that volume's picking up to let me hide the drawings. Let me make let's see, falling, make that a little stronger so we could see it. Perfect. Okay, so over here, this whole range we had over here, we had a major lack of volume. We had like absolutely no volume down here, right? Now, as soon as we started breaking lower, we were breaking lower with momentum, so candles were closing to the downside and volume was increasing. So that is giving me a little bit of a sign of panic selling stepping into the market on gold there. Something else to keep an eye on, though, would be that, yes, this heavy volume that's stepping in now can possibly be that absorption volume, right? That reversal volume we look for,
Hmm.
especially with how that last daily candle has closed out, that lower wick we've had. So, at this point, in my opinion, gold is more of that coin flip where it's not as much as it is leaning bearish right now. You're right. We still do have the geopolitical tensions. We know that it hasn't really been lifting gold because there's been a lot more going into oil and the dollar. But if those two commodities and those two assets can start seeing some lower levels, then that is also going to help prompt gold as well. So ideally for me, I would want to see how this daily candle closes on gold. If it could close somewhere above our previous day's open and a green candle on our daily today, then I would think, yeah, buyers might be stepping back in. We might even range back towards 5,000. But if we stay below 4,500, I do think we might head towards 4K.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I can see that happening perfectly. Also,
Yeah.
I'm looking also Euro JPY. I'm selling this. We have a day trading slightly bearish. Swing trading is not on my side right now, but I think this pullback area could be a really good time to get to sell. I don't know if we'll have that much of an upside, but this zone right here is interesting me for me to sell from 184 to 185. All this like range is a good zone to me for selling in the long term. I was looking this actually JP and CPI cools to 1.6 below the target. JP and PMA files. Yeah, yeah, this could be interesting because also we have, I don't know, we saw this tomorrow. We have from the Gen. I think we have PPI from the Gen, maybe. Let me see. CPI from the Yen, and we have, yeah, PPI of course, CPI monthly, month over month. Yeah, and also we have a lot of GBP, but there's medium and low impact, so we shouldn't be we should be okay with that. But yeah, I was looking from some sells in the Euro JPY.
Yeah, it looks like a
Let's see how
great
that's
area.
one. Yeah, let's see how that moves on. And what else? What else? This is one of the entries I have. Actually, since Monday, I entered here Monday open market. So yeah,
Okay,
let's
is
see
this a
how
trade
that
that you're still
goes.
in?
What?
Is this a trade
Sorry.
that you're still in?
Yeah, I'm still in here. Yeah, I'm still in here. I'm risking not even 0.6%, more a little bit more than a half, but not 1% on the trade. So that should be enough, and that's a good risk taking for me for a 1 to 5 risk management
There we
reward
go.
risk.
That's a
That'll be
great,
good.
great risk reward right
Yeah,
there.
we should see we can see we've been pushing up in this markets for a long time. We can know what why is that happening with the gen with all the interest rates. They have all money cheap in gen, and everybody buys it, so they can put it in other markets. But I think that could be changing, and the JPY could strengthen a little bit more right now with all the geopolitical tensions. Although we saw that the chef also was more like a safe haven in the last episode we have in the war escalation and all that stuff. But I think Jen also has to get that move, as it's always been.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I want to take a quick look to go over some headlines because this is a very headline driven market. We're going to get in a lot of headlines for de escalations, escalations. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our market terminal, go over to newsfeed, and head right over to high impacts. Now, because it does give us all high impact news, what we can do, because I know specifically what I'm looking for, is I could look up the word Trump, right? Look up Trump, high impacts. Now I could see everything he said recently or overnight. Indian shares join global rally after Trump delays Iran grid bombing. Trump appears determined to reach a deal with Iran, says 3 senior Israeli officials. Japanese bonds rise as Trump pauses Iran strike. 40-year auction uneventful. So just sort of going through these, making sure I didn't miss anything. Oil rebounds as Trump extends Iran ultimatum. Wall Street index rallies. And then I'd also like to look up Iran. Is there any news that says, hey, Iran has bombed A, B, and C, that they are not looking for a ceasefire or a de escalation? So, Iranian gas flow to Turkey set to stop after South Pars strike. Um, Israeli military says it identified missile strikes from Iran towards Israel. So again, this is just 2 hours ago. This is a headline that is saying Iran's still attacking, right? Israel was part of this war and that they were allies with the U.S. within it. So if they're being attacked, Israel's most likely going to be looking for the U.S. to help as well. So we got to be a little careful on that. Israeli military says it completed a wide wave of attacks on Iran. Let's see, Qatar, Israeli. Let's see. So nothing major. We would view any escalation of the Iran war into the Caspian very negatively. Trump appears determined. All right, so nothing major. It's unlikely Iran will agree to the U.S. demands. Here we go. Now, this is something that's big. It's unlikely Iran will agree to U.S. demands, Israeli officials say. So, again, at this point, guys, as traders, so we're done searching it. We want to keep up our high impact tab, or you even want to keep the dashboard up because it has our news feed. And make sure we keep an ear out for it or keep an eye out for it when we're trading. One headline comes out that says U.S. attacks Iran, Iran attacks U.S. base. Guess what's going to happen? Markets are going to react. So it's definitely important you keep a tool like market up at all times, especially in these headline driven markets.
Yeah. It is, it is, and also the high impact news. We can see news like yesterday going like on a huge spike on the markets. Also, we have
Yep.
normalized this like news thing. So sometimes we get like this huge spike, and sometimes we have a new that is maybe it's not moving the price right in that exact moment, but it will move the price further in the next weeks or maybe days. So it's
Yeah.
a really good thing to have like all your news day by day, analyze them and know what's the market pricing on the markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to cover
So,
before we start wrapping up the stream? We'll say about 5 more minutes
uh,
on it, guys.
let's see. Well, I would like to see a short in the euro dollar. I don't know if we will get to this pullback area. I don't know if we can push that higher, but this zone right here also looks a good zone to me for going to lower lows. So this could actually be a trade for me if the actual escalation of the war keeps going on, because we already mentioned Europe is going to be one of the most damaged, and dollar could be actually strengthened. So this could be a really good trade for me. And also the one we saw, the Euro Stock 50. I'm looking in this today, because as soon as we have like a little relief from the price, I will like to go and short this market. So as we can see here, this also, I'm gonna wait a bit more up here, but this is also a good opportunity for me in the markets right now. If anyone's is in this market, I really recommend going on short in this if you are. So that's a good trade for me in this week.
Awesome. That looks good, man. We just got a new headline.
Yeah,
Philippines declares energy emergency over Middle East conflict risks. So
yeah,
again,
that's
not much of a
good.
slowdown. Things are still picking up when we have a big war like this, and it's not just country to country like we saw Ukraine and Russia. This is a global war. This is impacting tons and tons of countries. Some of the US's top trade partners are being impacted in the energy sector because of this war, causing more geopolitical tensions.
Yeah, that's it. I also saw Cuba, and Cuba is also having a rough time with all this energy thing. So that's a thing to look. It's not just going to impact Iran, Israel, and the United States. It's
Yeah.
impacting the whole world, and it's creating a new regime, or a new way that markets are moving. So we
Yep.
got to be on top of that every day. Yeah, so we can clear it up.
Absolutely. I see you got your VIX chart on there. I use the VIX as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like the most powerful tool to know if the market is in a tension mode or not. It's really rare that we've been, holding up this 25, 26 points on the VIX. We can see this in a chart if I put it really quickly here. This has been
Yeah.
a bearish. I mean, any spike we have on the VIX, we normally don't keep up that much time up there. You can see in the daily frame, we tend to normally get a spike and go back down. Now we're in a different market, because we got a spike and we haven't got back down to normal levels. So that's actually telling us that the war and the tension right now, and the liquidity is trading right into this iron war. So yeah, this is the thing to look. I would like to see this going back down, because that'll be good for the de-escalation of the war.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens here. Actually, I mean,
Yeah.
we touched 35 up the other day, so
Yeah. Oh
that's a
my,
good.
I know, right? That was crazy. VIX.
That was crazy.
And also something to note, guys, about the VIX. The VIX has closed above $27 for 3 weeks in a row. That is major concerns, uncertainty, and volatility in the markets. When that happens, we don't want to be buyers. We want to be more on the sell side, but we also want to size down.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So yeah, nothing much more left to see. Let's also Bitcoin. Bitcoin also had a huge rally on the news yesterday.
Yeah, Bitcoin's been doing okay, trying to hold above
Yeah,
60 now to 70.
yeah. I'm yeah, the
No, it's
daily
funny.
also.
I was looking at Bitcoin too. In my opinion, I feel like there's not enough pain yet in Bitcoin for it to reverse back to the buy side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin is really awkward, because we can see sometimes just moving this, when a war comes in, you can go straight down, or like yesterday, you can see like a massive move like this. I think it's
Yeah.
like a really risk appetite market, and I think if actually the war goes, I could see a bit, maybe Bitcoin like being a decentralized asset going a bit higher, but also there's going to be so much problems, because actually Bitcoin runs in energy, and if we have a shock in energy, that's gonna, not in the meantime right now, but maybe in the next 2 or 3 months we can have a shock in the market also in Bitcoin about just energy.
That's not a bad thought right there. How the energy shock could affect Bitcoin, right? There's Bitcoin miners. We know Bitcoin runs on electricity. So can that could sort of go both ways. I would think, though, it would force the supply issue then on Bitcoin, which would then push prices higher on it.
Yeah, that could be perfect.
Yep. Awesome, guys.
Perfectly possible.
Tony, is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap up today's episode?
That's it for me. Let's just get to the markets and see what's the New York session going to tell us about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, make sure you drop a like, hit that subscribe button. Tony, thank you so much for being here today. What an episode.
Thank you so much for having me here, man. It's an honor for me.
Bro, that's awesome. Guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. That was Market in the Morning, and you could join us every Tuesday and Thursday. Tony, have a great day. Everybody, trade carefully.
You too.
Take care.
Have a good
Peace.